Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to dive into exactly what big data is and how your everyday digital habits are actually fueling this massive phenomenon. You know, it's one of those buzzwords thrown around constantly, on the news, in business meetings, all over the internet. But what does it actually mean? Well, today, we're going to break it all down. We'll look at exactly how we're creating all this information, why it totally breaks our old ways of doing things, and how we actually make sense of the whole shebang.
So let's start right here. Think about the devices you interact with every single day. Seriously, consider your smartphone, your smartwatch, or even the laptop you're probably using right now to check out this explainer. From the moment you wake up to the second you go to sleep, how much digital exhaust are you actually leaving behind? Every single tap, every swipe, every quick message you send, it's all just a tiny drop in this massive, ever-expanding ocean of information.
Which brings us to Section 1, the human data explosion.
The crazy thing is, the quantity of data we're creating is just exploding year over year. It's a relentless surge, and it's being driven by three main engines: entirely new technologies hitting the market, the personal gadgets we carry around in our pockets every day, and our massive communication channels like social networking sites. Every status update, every photo you upload, and every interconnected conversation we have online just pushes this exponential volume higher and higher. It's literally a continuous explosion of our own making.
Moving right along to Section 2, beyond traditional databases.
So, by formal definition, big data refers to massive, complex data sets that completely outgrow the processing, storing, and analyzing capacity of traditional database systems. Think about the standard spreadsheets or those old-school server racks we used to rely on to catalog everything. Big data is simply what happens when that old infrastructure completely fractures under the weight of modern information. The volume is just way too high, and the sheer speed of creation leaves older tech completely overwhelmed.
Look at it this way. On one side, we have our traditional database systems. Don't get me wrong, they're incredibly useful, but they have a strictly limited capacity to process, store, and analyze. They need things to be, well, neat and tidy. But on the flip side, we have big data. It's characterized by massive, complex datasets that fundamentally outgrow those older systems. It's kind of like trying to catch a raging waterfall with a tiny little teacup. The old systems simply cannot keep up with the scale of the world we've built.
Let's dig a little deeper in Section 3, dissecting big data.
When we actually pry open these vast datasets, we find that they are highly heterogeneous, meaning they come from countless different sources and contain this chaotic, layered mixture of formats. We're looking at structured data. You know, those neat rows and columns of numbers we're totally used to. But then we also have semi-structured data, and perhaps most dauntingly, completely unstructured data. This unstructured stuff, it's the Wild West. It's the raw text of social media posts, the organic flow of communication channels, and the completely unpredictable outputs of all those gadgets we talked about earlier. It just doesn't fit neatly into a box. And that heterogeneity is exactly what makes it so incredibly difficult to handle.
Which naturally leads us to Section 4, the analytics solution.
Okay, to truly understand why we desperately need a solution here, we have to recognize the mind-bending scale we're actually dealing with. We aren't just talking about gigabytes or even terabytes anymore. No way. We're dealing with zettabytes. It's a scale of information so unfathomably vast that the human brain can barely comprehend the physical storage it requires, let alone try to manually read or sort through it all.
So to process these zettabytes of structured, semi-structured, and unstructured chaos, we have to rely on big data analytics. Basically, this is the use of advanced analytic techniques specifically designed to be deployed on these very large heterogeneous datasets. We're using cutting-edge computational power and highly advanced algorithms to find the patterns, extract the actual value, and make sense of all the noise. Without big data analytics, the information our gadgets and networks generate would be entirely useless to us. It'd just be a giant, unreadable library. Analytics is the key that unlocks it all.
We're going to wrap up this explainer by looking to the future. As we keep generating more and more data every single year, driven by the relentless evolution of our technology and gadgets, will our advanced analytical techniques always be able to keep pace with the next wave of human data? We've already seen that our traditional systems broke down under the pressure. So the real question now is whether our current big data analytics can continue to scale, or if we're headed straight toward another technological tipping point. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll leave you to ponder that question until next time.